is Billy Joe Kelby. I am 40 years old, and I am a survivor of the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. I was born in August 1920 on the kitchen floor. I could be considered as an unwanted birth by my father. My father was hoping to get a son, but what he got was a red-haired, long-legged girl. Throughout my childhood, I felt like I was treated as if I was a boy by my father. Even though my father and I had some troubles, I had a connection with my mother. She had beautiful hands that produced beautiful music. She taught me everything I know today about piano. I grew up and life went on. I went to middle school, got good grades, and met my mom's expectations. Everything was fun until the weather got bad. All the soils on my dad's plantation started to blow everywhere, and all of a sudden everything was turning to dust. We had to use wet clothes to cover the cracks in the windows, but dust still got in. I can't remember one day when water that I drank was clean. All the water that I drank was crunchy, and it tasted like dirt. One day, everything changed. My mom was cooking breakfast, thinking a pail was filled with water, but it was filled with kerosene. She lifted it to make Daddy's coffee, poured it, but instead of making coffee, she made a rope of fire. She got burned bad, especially since she was pregnant at the time. My hands got burned up as well, but that wasn't my worst concern. My mom stayed in her bed. She was pretty sick. She painfully begged for water. Finally, the baby was ready to be born, but my ma was not. Ma died that day, giving birth to my brother. My dad helped her at some points, but I had to pitch in. Nowadays, I feel like I could have helped her more. After Ma was dead, things seemed to slow down. It was just my dad and I. Dinners were awkward. He sat across from me. He looked like my father, but he was a stranger. From then on, he did everything he could to keep himself occupied so that he didn't have to talk to me. He spent his time out of the side of the house, digging a hole, 40 feet by 60 feet, 6 feet deep. I wanted to talk to him, to resolve things, to feel more like family again. Meanwhile, the dust storms were getting worse and worse. I remember in 1934 when a bunch of red peppery dust rose up into the air. I was coming back from the palace. It got into my nose and eyes. All of our food was covered with dust when I got home. Our water became crunchy and our houses became dust piles. The dust made everything a bit uncomfortable, depressing, and expensive. but somehow I am thankful for it every day. The dust is what made me become who I am today, and I am proud of that. After Ma's death, I was dedicated to my piano. I felt like that was the only way I could connect back to my Ma. Before Ma even died, I played a beautiful concert that I put full focus into. At first, Ma didn't let me go, but I convinced her to do so. It was a concert Mad Dog invited me to at the Palace. I played so well that night, Arlie invited me to perform for the president's birthday ball. Ma couldn't say no to this. The next year, the birthday ball was coming up. The night of the event, I remember having a great time. Most of the time, I think I smiled, and twice my father laughed. Folks were almost free of dust, almost free of death. At that point, I knew that there was an actual chance for me and my dad to connect once again. At school, Miss Freeland said our school topped the entire state on the tests again. I really wanted to run home and get a "I knew you could" from my mom. I was desperate to hear any words of kindness in those days. Even though I missed Ma, I still felt a haunt from Ma to keep cleaning everything while my hands would ache so much. I felt the need to rest, but I knew on the account of Ma I couldn't. Because Ma was gone, I felt like I had to be the person to replace her, to clean and to keep everything tight. The birthday ball once again arrived, and I felt a hunger to have closure with myself. I played quite well on the piano. I forgot the audience was even there. I dropped right inside the music. I didn't feel the pain of my hands until I heard a big round of applause. I couldn't feel anything in my hands. I won third place. The reward was $1. That was nice, but that didn't help the fact that we were very poor. My father joined the night school so that if the firm failed, there'd be prospects to fall back on. I didn't believe him for a second. He did it for the moment. I really shouldn't have minded because I didn't have to make dinner, because all the women would bring over dinner. The ladies brought him chicken and biscuits. The note said that he was going out to find me, and that if I got home, that I should stay put. When I read it, I felt as if my dad still cared for me, and that there was once again potential for us to figure things out. The next day was a day I could never forget, a darker night than I've ever seen. I was going home from a palace show that night. I bumped into a box beside the palace door and scraped my shins, then tripped in something in my path. I didn't know what, and walked into a telephone pole and bruised my cheek. I used my hands to touch everything around me to lead me home. From time to time, I would hear someone cry out. No one could see. Brown earth rained down from the sky. I could not catch my breath the way the dust pressed on my chest and wouldn't stop. The dirt blew so thick it scratched my eyes. When I got home, I found a note from my father. It said that he went out to find me, and if I got there, to stay put. When I read this, I felt as if my father still cared for me, and that there was once again potential for us to solve things. School was almost over, and it was time for graduation. I was invited to play the piano. I wish I wasn't. I hadn't played piano in forever. My hands just wouldn't work. I just sat on the piano bench staring down at the keys. After a while, people started to whisper. I was too stubborn to cry. I just walked off stage. I couldn't move my hands. They just wouldn't work. After the graduation, I noticed a raised spot on my father's skin and nose. More and more appeared as time went on. They wouldn't go away. I thought if he went to Doc Rice, he could check the spots, and Doc could check my hands. But just like me, my father was too stubborn. He was going to Doc Rice. I was worried what would happen to him if he didn't in time. I sat at the piano and kept thinking about the time when I could run away and get out of the dust, to get out of debt, out of the sandy dunes, out of the deep depression that was all over Oklahoma. I knew it was time. I gave so many chances to my father to reach out to me, to understand, to love me. My father was digging his own grave. He calls it a pond, but I knew what he was planning. I walked throughout the night until I got to the spot where the train stops. I got inside the boxcar ready to go west, out of the dust. I stayed on the train for 2 days. I saw a lot of different environments and people. I met this one man that made a big impact on me. He was clothed in dirty and sour clothes. We talked. He said that he had to get away from his family life at home. I told him my story as well. My father was holding on to life the whole time. My father stayed rooted, even with my tests and temper, even with the double sorrow of his grief and my own. He had kept a home until I broke it. I got off the train in Arizona. I met a woman from the government agency, and I told her to let my father know that I was coming home. When I finally got home, I saw my father standing there, waiting for me. We walked home together talking. We discussed the spots on his skin. I convinced him to see a doctor. He says that once the pond is done, we could swim and that we could catch fish in the evening for dinner. We walked together, side by side. Every step we took, I was forgiving my father for the pail of kerosene and forgiving myself for all the rest. Me and my father finally had hope. At the doctor, Doc Rice cut out the cancer of my dad's skin. My dad wore bandages over the cuts. Doc told me to apply ointment every night and try to actually use my hands to cure them. My father met a nice woman at night school. At first I didn't like her, but she grew on me. Her name was Louise. When she came to dinners, she made my father laugh. She was honest, and she never tried to push me out of Daddy's life while I was trying to get back in.
Even though the Dust Bowl was hard to live through, the dust made me who I am today, and I am proud of that. I wish I did things a little differently along the way, but that's just how it went. After the Dust Bowl, I lived a happy and healthy life. My father married Louise, and they lived together until my father died. He died when he was about 70 from the cancer that came back into his face. Louise died a few years after from natural illnesses at 75 years old. I met a nice man named George.